happy today? I am. So, I am starting by telling you a story that led me here today with you. When I was doing my master degree, there was one day, an important day, and it was not an important day for getting a job or for being unemployed. Nothing like that. I had to do an academic work and I had to do an interview. And on that day, when I had to go to do the interview, it was a very rainy day and I get all wet. I get late to the interview, and when I arrived to do the interview, my pen didn't work. It spoiled my day, as you can imagine. And I thought, how can those tiny things, those apparently unimportant things, spoil my day like that? And that made me do and want to search and research about daily events and the way those tiny things, those apparently unimportant things would spoil or would uplift our day. That's why I'm here today, to tell you about and just to make you curious about that. And have you ever thought about what happens in your daily life, in your daily life at work? Do you know what makes you enthusiastic or what makes you feel joy or glad? Can you notice what makes you feel bored or stressed about something? Maybe yes, maybe not. In fact, there are lots of micro daily events in which everyone are surrounded by that. Micro events are the tiny things that may bore you, that may make you glad, that have some effects on you. Those micro events are a constant of our daily life. They are unavoidable. So, if we cannot erase them, maybe we can learn to live with them and take the most pretty things that they can do to us. Those events, despite its certainty, they tend to be unnoticed, they tend to be unseen by individuals. But why is that? Maybe because they are so micro, maybe because they are so mundane, maybe because we are used to deal with that. But can we deal with that in the right way? I don't think so. There are two types of micro events. They can be negative, but they also can be positive. Negative when they appear in the form of daily hassles, and that are minor things that somehow irritate, frustrate, or distress you. But they can also be positive when they uplift your day, when they leave you more satisfied, more pleasurable, and more comfortable in the way you are, in the things you do, and so on. But what kind of micro events are we talking about? That's why, what are you thinking right now? There are diverse types of micro events that surround yourself, that surround the people in which you are involved too. The most common micro events arise in the interpersonal interactions or the interpersonal exchanges that you have to experience every day, and they can be positive, but they can also be negative. Moreover, there are also micro events that are triggered when you are performing your job, your task, and as such are task-related micro events. They can also be events that threat or that can be beneficial to your self-esteem, to your self-image, your self-efficacy, or even events related to failures, to errors, or to achievement of some daily goals. And at last but not least, they can be events that are triggered after interruptions, after unexpected solicitations, or even after doing some intentional breaks that are important to our concentration and to our performance. But why are these micro events so important for us if they appear to be so micro? The fact is that these micro-events do not act by themselves. They overflow to other situations, to other contexts, and that's why they are so important. For example, we have here some examples of micro-events that are common in a daily life. In a daily life of each of us. For instance, having to deal with a rude customer or a rude coworker, or on the other hand, having to deal with someone who is nice, who is in a positive mood, and so on. There are also task-related events, for instance, having to perform a challenging or an interesting task, or even, on the other hand, when we have to do some more than one thing at the same time and we have to rush that. But there are also events that are triggered by unfairness, inequalities, or even after low transparent procedures that affect our self-image, or even when we receive some kind of compliment on our work. Plus, there are events regarding failures, errors, or interruptions or breaks. These events, the first thing that it is important to explain is that they trigger some kind of emotional and affective reactions. And those reactions are different from situation to situation and can be towards an individual, an object, or the situation itself. It can differ on the intensity, rushing to low intensity or higher intensity, but also in duration, because emotions triggered after those events can be transient, but they can also be long-lasting emotions with long-lasting effects and so on. But in the long run, those events tend to influence our behavior, our performance, our health, and our well-being. These emotions that are triggered after some events can differ from situation for situation, from individual to individual. We do not feel the same after the same event. We can, for instance, feel enthusiastic when we achieve some kind of goal, but we can be glad when we interact with someone who is nice for us, but on the opposite, we can also feel frustrated when someone treats us in a bad manner, or we can feel anger when someone is acting in an unfair manner to us or to someone who is related to us. Affective reactions may also affect some other outcomes. For instance, they can affect our personal resources by impairing or broadening our coping actions, or decreasing or increasing our self-efficacy and turning us into some resourceful person. Those affective reactions may also influence our physiological responses after some events that can vary from, for instance, sweating to increasing or decreasing our heart rate, or provoking some symptoms such as a headache. Our affective reactions also influence and shape our mind by influencing our thoughts and our cognitions. Who didn't ever thought, oh God, I love my job, I really love what I am doing? Or on the opposite, why am I stuck in this task, in this job? And affective reactions also influence our mood in a positive or negative manner, and our behavioral and actions that can influence in the long run our performance. For instance, increasing citizenship behaviors, or for instance decreasing our counterproductive or unethical decisions and actions at work. Of course, affective reactions are also important because they do not stuck here, and that's important to think how can we deal with not only micro daily events but also with affective reactions. How can we deal with that? First of all, it's important to differentiate between hustles and uplifts. Regarding daily hustles, it is important to yourself. Don't let be affected more than they deserve to. We are talking about micro events, so don't let them be macro to yourself. Don't let daily hassles to be in control of yourself, because if you let them, it is the tendency to overflow to other situations and also to influence other contexts and also your behavior. You are in control, and you must remember that you cannot be stuck to those hustles, because when you experience one hustle, two hustles, or three hustles, it is likely that you be stuck to such hustles and create even more hustles, and as such it will decrease your personal resources and so on. So it is important not only to let them be macro to yourself, but it is important you to be to self-regulate your actions, to avoid ruminate, avoid be stuck in such hustles, and try to create some uplifts. For instance, you can balance the daily uplifts to experience. It is important that you try to create 2 or 3 more uplifts for each hustle you experience, because you need to solve, to surpass, and to shrink the effects of micro hustles will have on you. Remember that you are in control and you need to control them. On the other hand, when we are talking about daily uplifts, sometimes it is difficult to see them, to notice them, but it is important that we are focused on our present moment and to notice all the daily uplifts that may be around us, and sometimes we don't see them. And as such, it is important that you purposefully and proactively create your own uplifts. If you only see the hassles, it is likely that you will be stressed, that your health will be worse, and your performance as well. So it's important that you can control it. Remember that there are parts of your daily life that you can control. So create your own uplifts, understand them, and enjoy them. It's important that you accept, that you learn to savor them, to share it, to celebrate it with the others, in order to yourself construe actively your well-being and your happy moments in your daily life. Summarizing, micro daily events are a constant of daily life. They are unavoidable, and you cannot erase them of your daily life at work. So you have to learn to live with them and take the best part of them, learning to, accepting to, and transform it in something good, something that you can learn, you can evolve. Moreover, it is important also that you can control your working day, your day, in order to create yourself your own uplifts. Thank you so much.